Okay, here's an article that I was sent that I would like to share with you. It's called Searching for Kenya's Cave Dwellers. It's back in 2014. You can see this Negroid man here, um, and he's wearing, modern clothes and things, a turtleneck and stuff in the middle of Africa. But I don't know where he got his clothes from, anything like that. I know this is not a Negroid-made bike. I don't know if anybody can tell. It's got a name around on the spokes or the actual sprocket here, and I think that's a French-made bike. I'm not sure. I'm not into all these bikes and stuff there, but it's got a puppy that's here too, kind of cute. The bucket he collects water with, and he lives in this cave here. It's got a chicken feed and some other burlap here. Kind of very primitive. Then again, a lot of Africa has a lot less advanced than this, and that bike and wheel definitely aren't normally seen there. Let's look at this article here. It says around 500 people are said to live in caves scattered across Kenya's Great Rift Valley. Gilgil, Kenya, in Swahili, they are known as Watu wa Mashimo, the people who live in caves. Their existence is more than a rumor, really. To those in Kenya's major towns, it seems unbelievable that anyone would choose to live inside of a rock rather than in a building or at worst a shack or a tent. That's kind of an odd statement because not too long ago, none of them were living in anything short of like dung huts and things, and they were taught the technology of shack and tent, and building was brought to them by the Caucasians. But a lot of days we don't understand or realize that truth today. So our East Africa crew set out to track them down to see the rumors about them are true. It was no easy task. Our team climbed mountain after mountain, searching, scouring the harsh former volcano outcrop for hours with no luck. Finally, we came across Joseph Lasatoy. Joseph, he's got a Caucasian name. Armed with a panga, he takes us to his former home. He told us what life was like living in a cave with his family. At first we tried to farm here, he told us, but the monkeys attacked our crops, so we switched to burning charcoal. That's now how we make our money. Disturbingly, in Haiti, they have burned up all of the vegetation, literally, to make charcoal so they can cook things very inefficiently, and in doing so they have no vegetation on anymore, and that's what's causing all these mudslides. I mean, it was a jungle island just 100 and something years ago, a total vegetated jungle island with a lot of creatures that no longer exist, and it's all decimated out to just wasteland pretty much. And they're doing the same thing to this area. It's just eroding away worse and worse. And anyhow, Joseph points to a small hole in the side of the rock. This was the cave we used to live in. The tiny cave is made up of two areas, one for sleeping and the other for cooking. Joseph explains that he was forced to move here with his wife and children here after they were kicked off land in a nearby town. Now, I wonder what the story is behind that. It was comfortable. It was very comfortable because we were never rained on, he explains. Everyone had a blanket, so we rarely felt cold. Cool. That's, ancient cavemen used to live in caves for that exact same fact, but with a modern world here, it's just strange. He says our food was stored in the other part of the cave, and we would store our clothes here. There were snakes sometimes at the back, and so we would light a fire for about 2 days before moving in, let the cave fill with smoke, and chase away the snakes. Just if there's only one opening to the cave and you put burning coals at the front of it, snakes are never going to come out. And I believe those snakes are probably still in that cave. But let's continue, because he says, he does mention there were snakes sometimes at the back. It's not real good. After some years of living in the cave, a mysterious skin disease started afflicting his children, and he moved them away. He explains to us that he believes the disease came from the waste product of fur from the animals that they would eat. Now, the fur contains fleas which would bite his children, and eventually those wounds became infected, and they couldn't afford medicine for the disease, and he knows of at least one person from a nearby cave who eventually died as a result. Now, this is where, like in the Dark Ages, where we had bubonic plague and thing that was passed around by fleas and things. And I think him and these children are just lucky that they never got bit. The fleas never bit an animal that had anything that could have really taken them too far. Apparently, it had some skin disease like mange or something, and these people have it now. He and his friend continued to live there for close to 15 years, earning about $30 a month selling charcoal they burned. He has now joined his family in a tent in a valley nearby, but he tells us there are about 500 people living in caves scattered across the hills. He said, "We continued our search for more Watuwa Mashimo. We are unlucky," Joseph explains. His neighbor's cave was abandoned. He believes they were also affected by the reoccurring skin disease. But on our way back to our vehicle, we came across Wilson Nindragu. Wilson? Wilson! Who has converted two boulders side by side into a cave of sorts, using plastic. He lives alone. I don't know, something whenever I see the name Wilson there and we're talking about cavemen and stuff, I think about Tom Hanks and Castaway and stuff, and he lived in the cave, and Wilson the ball. Anyhow, Wilson explains that he dropped out of school and doesn't know how to read and write, but relies on his Bible for comfort. That's strange. If you don't know how to read, what do you rely on your Bible for comfort? Do you use it for a pillow? What do you do? And I'm guessing that this is a Caucasian Bible, and black people aren't even mentioned in the Caucasian Bible. I mean, sometimes they refer to themselves as Hamites, but if you look up Hamites, it's a derivation of the Caucasian race. Of course, everybody that came out of the ark, from one couple would all be one race. One race doesn't give birth to another, but somehow people become extremely diluted nowadays. He says he enjoys life here despite the hardships and would rather live here than in a tent where the rain can still come in and it's colder. Yeah, if you get a messed up tent, it can get bad. And of course, if the ground gets wet, wow. It's no easy life, one of steep hills, of tracking wild animals for food and smoking out unwanted guests like snakes using fire. But one of these young men say they would miss it if they had to live anywhere else. Now, I find that somewhat sad to find a revelation. Of course, we're always hounded here in America with the little naked Negroid babies that are snotty faced and pot bellied and begging for food and things, and won't you send money? And all this does is make it to where they actually breed and have more people that can't sustain themselves. It's kind of pitiful. And if millions weren't sent every year from Caucasians, they wouldn't be able to sustain themselves as they are. And so they're just teetering on the edge of causing extreme problem for themselves and having to rely on the rest of the world for it. And estimates are here in the next 50 years or so, their population is going to get so bad because of their breeding practices without any control that it's going to outweigh the resources they could even possibly have with Caucasian help. And then one wonders what they're supposed to do. Anyhow, like, share, and subscribe here. Oh, I just noticed here on the side of his face, he's got a scar. When black people scar, a lot of times their black doesn't come back in it, or their melanin doesn't come back in it. I can't tell if that's vitiligo, but it doesn't look like it because it looks like scrapes. Almost like he had fallen down, I don't know, maybe recently off this bike here and just scratched his face real bad. But, yeah, thought that was probably just kind of the gleam earlier. But, yeah, like, share, and subscribe, guys, and enjoy. And, yeah, Kenya, black people still have cave dwellers. So things haven't changed too much. I mean, the ancient Egyptians called the Nubians that lived there Troglodytes, and that meant primitive, unaware cave dwellers. And it looks like that's what we may still see here.